And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Clevr, and today I've got a little bit of a short, different video. I was asked in a message a little bit about my background and what I've been doing and what got me into Let's Playing and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really get into a lot of my past and everything when I first started out the channel. I spoke in sporadic little pieces that or throughout the video, so yeah, I figured I'd tell you guys a little bit about me, why maybe you might be interested in some of the stuff I do, or, you know, maybe just explain a little bit of the madness of Clevr. Oh. So, my first, anything I've ever done with video games has always been working towards a goal of something I had. When I first started out doing anything, I was 16, and I was really interested in voice acting. I still am. I love lending my voices to various projects, and when I was 16, I had a voice that was, at the time, I thought pretty good, and it was the announcer voice, I call it. And we're back. The announcer voice is a lot like this, and I just talk in a very odd manner. And I like to enunciate my words in a odd, drawn-out fashion. It started out, actually, oddly enough, I was playing a baseball game with my brother, and I started doing the at-bats because, for whatever reason, the audio wasn't working. So the announcers wouldn't say anything the whole game, which I think the disc was just really scratched up. But so I'd be like, Joey Votto steps up to the plate, strike one. That's a bread and butter pitch of Felix Hernandez. King Felix is what they call him here in Seattle. And one of my friends was doing a low-budget game that he hoped would generate some interest and eventually get on a platform like Steam. It ended up not getting completed, which is the story of many, many games that go out into production and all that good stuff. So I ended up doing like a... it was on the Unreal Engine 4 back when that came out for everyone to use. And it ended up taking too much time. He didn't plan on how much time it would actually take, and I had a minor role in that game. I was just in the beginning cutscene. There's a guy listening to the radio, and I forget the exact line, but I was like, "And we're back. We've got the Seattle Sea Turkeys 20 and." The Phoenix Mongooses 13. Final score. It was something like that. And that was it. That was the end of it. I recorded like 2 lines. And later in the game, I had a line which was the same thing on the radio, but you could barely even hear it. And that was basically it. That was all I did. And I gotta tell you, it was a lot of fun, even doing 3 lines. I came in for like half an hour, I did my lines, I auditioned for a couple other parts. He held auditions for a game that never even got made, which again is the story of everyone's life. He wanted the best voices, he wanted to do it upright. It's a shame it didn't end up getting made because it was a pretty cool game. It was kind of like a point-and-click adventure kind of deal, in like the aspects, not quite point-and-click. What kind of game is it? It's more of like a exploration game rather than point-and-click, but you had to find certain pieces to the puzzle to advance into the next room, to the next level, and so on and so forth. It didn't look great, but it looked fun, and the story was really well done. He's actually, the kid who was making this game is actually now a professional writer with a video game website, which is really cool. I mean, props to him. he got into the field he wanted to get into, and that field is crowded, let me tell you. He was the best of the best that I knew as far as writing. And that's not his end goal. He wants to get to a certain point where he can write in video games. As for me, I love writing, but it never really took the forefront. I never wanted to actually be in scripts and that kind of stuff, just because there's so much work into... You have to have a knack for making everything sound natural. Like, you have to think as every single character, and I might be able to do it for a couple characters, but to think, have the mindset of every single character you make, it takes a lot of talent. Hats off to the people that do it really well. It's usually not a solo act. So, when I was, I want to say 17 or 18, somewhere around there, I had another friend who needed someone he could trust to oversee a video game being made. And he had gotten funding so that he could rent out a building, and we would all come in, and he had people working for him. Not much money being passed around, mind you. It was all startup guys who were top in the area for us that just had gotten out of high school or something, and they knew like programming and stuff like that. So we were all working on a game together, and this one was a cool one. This one was kind of like a it was like a card game with cutscenes that were reminiscent of like comic books. Like it had a comic book kind of feel, and I actually was the main character in that game. I did like at the time it was real bad. I'm still bad at it, but I had like a Solid Snake kind of voice. Like I was the only one who could even get remotely close out of the group. So it was like, damn, what the hell? And like now, I like struggle doing Metal Gear. That kind of voice, I lent for the game, and I actually got all my lines out, and I had a ton of lines. Like, it was hours and hours of recording and trying to get stuff right. The writing wasn't that good, and eventually we ran out of money to rent the space. And even though all of us worked our tails off to try to get the game made, after about 6 months, we ran into a wall. And then you fast forward, I kind of gave up on the dream of being a voice actor because I struggled lending my voice to people that they have something in their mind that they want for a character. Like, if you have the Joker, it's always going to be that Mark Hamill-esque Joker is what they want. And when you don't get that, fans backlash. Like, the guy that did the voice for Schnitzel also did Joker and I think it was a series, like The Batman or something. I can't remember. But fans hated that voice, and it wasn't even that bad. The guy is a good professional voice actor. So I gave up on that and just didn't pursue. I had one other offer to do it, and I was just like, I've worked on 2 games that haven't gotten made. I've put in a lot of time in the last one. 6 months, I oversaw everything. I actually held the keys. I called everyone, got us all gathered up, drove down into a crowded, dark, and dirty place, and we sat down. We worked with minimal equipment to try to make something special. And we actually had a decent-sized budget. For just your average, like 18-year-old kids, but it wasn't enough to get us through to we needed a year of development time, and what we got was about half that. So I had still wanted to be a Let's Player. I had still wanted to do things on the internet. I had still wanted to do things involved with gaming, but to be honest, I just didn't have the money at the time. I worked at Home Depot from 19 to I think 21 or 20 even. It was a short time, but it was a really fun job. I got to work with some cool people. And then eventually I opened up my own business, and I ended up doing odd jobs, which I had no idea about the first time I stepped up and started doing stuff. I was like doing paint jobs. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, okay, I don't know how to price anything out. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? But I ended up getting tied to another business, and now I make a good living, which has allowed me to do side jobs and fund all of my YouTube equipment and pursuits. So I've been extremely lucky that I even got to start this, because if I was still at Home Depot, I'd still be making car payments, and I'd still have no money on the side for any equipment. And I'm very lucky in that sense, that my schedule and everything allows me to do all of this. So I figured after a couple years, when I had enough saved up and I got lucky getting a good paying side job, I said, now is the time. It's now or never. I mean, if eventually you have to throw caution to the wind and just go out and do it. So I ended up building my own computer, which I had never done before. I ended up setting everything up, getting all the equipment I thought I needed, and then getting all the equipment I actually needed later. And yeah, here I am. I'm making videos, which is awesome. I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing right now. So that has been really my story. Because the rest of, if I went back to, age 15, I was playing baseball a lot, it's boring. I mean, this is my YouTube career and everything I've done as far as YouTube's concerned. Yeah. So, I have always been interested in voice acting. I've always been interested in working with video games. And now I'm getting my chance to do a little bit of both, especially with Undertale. I get to do the voices for the characters. It's awesome. Aha! I, the great Papyrus, and Flowey the Flower. And then you'll die. It's something fun to do, and I've had a ball doing all of this stuff, and I'm not going anywhere, no matter what. So I'm going to continue to make videos for the people that do see them and that do enjoy them, and I enjoy making them and putting time and effort into them. So, yeah. Aside from that, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions about me, anything that you want to know about me, I'm an open book, so just ask me, and maybe if I get enough of them, I'll make a video. If not, I'll just reply to your comment directly so you can know a little bit about me. So, yeah. With that, I bid you adieu, a fond farewell until we meet again in the next video. Bye-bye!